Hey y'all, welcome back to the kitchen and welcome back to the second episode of Repeat Worthy Dinners. Y'all are in for a treat this week. Both of these, I promise, you will have these dinners on repeat if you try them. They are so good. Of course, they're so easy. Let's just get cooking, y'all. All right, so tonight for dinner, I'm actually gonna be making a Mongolian beef recipe. If you've never tried Mongolian beef, you need to try this. It is so good. It is tender, thinly sliced steak with like a sweet soy sauce, ginger sauce all over it. I serve it over rice. It is delicious. It is my favorite thing to get when we go to the Asian Chinese restaurant. So I'm gonna show you how you can make it at home. Only takes about 20 minutes to make too. So first things first, we have about 2 pounds. These are just sirloin. You can use pretty much any kind of steak that you want. Sirloin, flank steak, even ribeyes. But Darren's gonna show you how you should cut them for the best tender results.
Yep. So we have our steak out. You can actually see how the grain is running this way. You want to, when you're slicing the steak, you want to cut it against the grain. So that way when you take a bite, you're biting with the grain. And it is actually tender.
And it comes apart rather than trying to bite those grainy pieces.
So you're not fighting it. It doesn't taste as, it doesn't have that tough texture to it.
Another tip you can do is pop these in the freezer for a little bit. We do that a lot of times when we make Philly cheesesteaks and things like that. But we didn't do that today. We just went to the store. They're doing a pretty good job. That miso knife, this is not sponsored, but y'all,
you need
that knife
a very
is so good.
sharp knife.
That's my favorite knife.
The better.
Yes. All right, so moral of the story, cut against the grain for the tender, thin slices of steak. So on the thicker pieces, we're just kind of cutting them vertically as well. As you can see, these are tiny, tiny little pieces of steak, but they're gonna be so tender, they're gonna cook up so quickly. But yes, the thicker ones, or the fatter ones I should say, we're just gonna cut them like that, because that's how ours are at the restaurant where we go. So also another side I thought I would fix for this Mongolian beef is just some simple roasted broccoli. I already have my broccoli here all chopped and clean. I'm gonna drizzle just a little bit of avocado oil. And for seasoning, I think I'm gonna do this Kinder's buttery steakhouse seasoning today. Sprinkle some on, not too much. We have a lot of different flavors going on. And grab my spoon, toss it around. I already have the oven on 425, and this is just gonna take 15 minutes or so. I keep an eye on it. I like to kind of toss mine around right in the middle of that time. Yeah, I think this will be really good with our Mongolian beef and our rice. All right, so I have my large skillet out here. I'm just gonna place a little bit of avocado oil in here, enough to sear our steak in. All right, so I have my avocado oil heating up, but I'm gonna add just a teaspoon of this toasted sesame oil. Y'all, this makes any kind of Asian dish. It is so good, and a little bit goes a long way. All right, to our steak, we're gonna sprinkle on some cornstarch. This is gonna kind of make our steak, get those little crispy bits all over it that are so good. And also for this, I'm gonna use some Auntie Nono's. It's just the steakhouse seasoning, just a little bit to kind of season our steak up. Okay, now I'm just gonna kind of toss our steak around in the cornstarch and the seasoning just to get everything nice and coated. All right, so now I'm gonna start getting my little steak pieces and placing them in my skillet. Y'all hear that sizzle? That's what you wanna hear. And we have a good bit of steak over here. So I'm actually gonna do this probably in a couple batches, because you're only doing it a couple minutes anyway, so it won't take long. But you really wanna give your steak room to kind of caramelize and brown up. If it's too crowded, the steak will just kind of steam in there. That's not what we're looking for. They are so thin, they're sticking together though. They'll spread out. All right, I'm flipping. You can see how our steak pieces are starting to have that good kind of caramelization, that Maillard reaction. Look at me.
Oh, look at you.
All right, just another couple minutes till it's all nice and browned. All right, all of our steak is over on the side. It's finished cooking. So to the skillet, I'm gonna add a little bit more oil, avocado oil. Next, I'm gonna add some ginger. Also some minced garlic. That ginger smells so good. The next part's gonna go really quick. We don't want this garlic to burn. I'm gonna saute it for just about 20 or 30 seconds. Stir it around. Turn my stove back on so we're actually doing something. And all this little brown bit goodness down here in the pan, all that's gonna do is add flavor. So good. Okay, next I'm gonna pour in some soy sauce, some brown sugar, and just a splash of water. We may add a little bit more. I'm gonna bring this up to a simmer while I continue to whisk. All right, y'all can start to see how the sauce is thickening up. It's kind of separating as I'm whisking. So we're gonna place that steak back in there. I'm actually gonna go ahead and turn my stove all the way off. I'm gonna gently place all of this steak back in here. Y'all, I wish you could smell this kitchen right now. It smells delicious. Let's give everything a toss. Yum, 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 yum. That looks delicious. Can't help myself. Actually, I can because it's hot. That's delicious. Spot on.
Perfect.
All right, our broccoli is finished. Roasted broccoli. Let's plate this up. All right, I already have some rice for our base. Now let's get in here to this delicious Mongolian beef. Y'all, this looks so good. It is so good. We tasted it. All right, let's get a good portion on there. Oh my goodness, this looks so good. Little roasted broccoli on the side. Sesame seeds for a garnish. Of course, a few green onions. Y'all, this, I would take this any day compared to the restaurant. This looks absolutely delicious. All right, y'all, let's taste this. I'm just gonna get some of that rice with it. All right, let's give it a try. Oh, I'm excited. That is absolutely delicious. The perfect amount of sweetness. Of course, it's salty too. I love that combo. That steak is perfectly tender. I love that thinly sliced steak in there. Like I said, I would choose this any day as opposed to going to the restaurant because you can really make this almost just as easy as calling something in. So tonight for dinner, I'm gonna make a recipe called smothered pork chops. I've never made this recipe before, but it sounds so good. It's pork chops in kind of a creamy sauce with onion and bacon. We're also gonna do some roasted potatoes on the side. I think it's gonna be a delicious dinner. Let's get started. First, we need to work on our potatoes because they're gonna take the longest. We already have these cleaned up. These are just some yellow potatoes. And one of y'all on the Facebook group today said y'all are cooking smothered pork chops. And I can't remember, I don't think it was roasted potatoes, maybe mashed potatoes.
It was roasted broccoli.
Roasted broccoli and maybe mashed potatoes. But by the way, we have a Facebook group. It's called Repeat Worthy Dinners. Go over there and find us. There's people already in there sharing different recipes, what you're cooking for dinner each night. I think it's gonna be a really good and resourceful group to have. So I just cut them in probably about maybe a little less than 1 inch cubes, bite-sized pieces. You can do them however you want, even cut them in wedges or fries, but I just like to cut them kind of smallish cubes. All right, we have all of our potatoes all chopped up in our bowl. I'm just gonna drizzle with a little olive oil, or this might be avocado oil, not sure. Either way, we need to get some more, okay? Give these a little toss. And for seasonings, I think I'm gonna go in with the Kinder's, the wood-fired garlic. This is so good. We have been using it on everything lately, on chicken, everything. Okay, that does have some salt, but it's not too salty. So I thought I would add just a little bit of Lowry's seasoned salt as well. I want to make sure with those seasonings that they all don't have salt in them because things can get overly salty. All right, let's just toss our potatoes around. All right, let me grab my pan. I already have my oven preheated to 425. Then I have my baking sheet lined with some parchment paper. We're just gonna get our potatoes on here. Y'all seen me make these so many times, but we just love them. The kids love them. They're so good. And they're so quick too, rather than mashed potatoes or even baked potatoes. All right, get them all spread out in a nice even layer. And these will probably take 25 to 30 minutes. I like to come in and kind of flip mine a few times during that time. But let's get these in the oven and start on those pork chops. All right, so now we're just gonna get our skillet heating up. I have a large skillet out here. And I'm just gonna add a couple tablespoons of oil to the pan. Let that be heating up. While that's working, let's go make our dredge for our pork chops. So over here, I have about 6 boneless pork chops. We're gonna make our dredge by adding some flour. This is some more of that Lowry's seasoned salt. I'm not gonna quite add all of this that recipe calls for. I like to be less salty and add more rather than way too salty and wonder what I'm gonna do about it. Next, we're gonna add some onion powder, a little bit of garlic powder, some dried thyme, and some paprika. All right, I'm just gonna mix up all of these seasonings with our flour.
You could also put the lid on it and shake it.
You could. Or you can shake it without the lid. How about that? But actually, it worked really well. All right, I'm gonna check to see if my oil is hot. Have a little bit of that flour. It's getting there. It's getting there. All right, we can start dredging our pork chops. And grab a pork chop, put it in, flip it over, other side, shake it around. I'm gonna do off the excess. I'm just gonna bring this whole entire thing over here to my skillet and place the pork chop into that oil. Have a little sizzle, but it'll heat up a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and dredge the rest of our pork chops and get as many as I can fit in this skillet. I'm thinking it's gonna be about 5. All right, and one right in the middle. Darren said he would cook the other pork chop for lunch. Perfect, look at that. We're just gonna cook these 2 or 3 minutes until each side is nicely browned up, golden brown. Then we're gonna remove them from the pan and start working on that smothering delicious sauce. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and flip these. Looking pretty good. Because these are gonna finish cooking with everything, so we don't have to cook these completely yet. We don't want any dry pork chops. All right, just a couple more minutes on this side. And just set these to the side for a few minutes. I'm gonna cover these just to keep them warm. And set those to the side. To the same pan, I'm gonna add in some chopped bacon. I'm just gonna keep cooking this until our bacon is crispy. All right, just a few more minutes on our bacon. I'm gonna go ahead and add in, this is 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter. Get in there. Let that melt down. And I'm also gonna go ahead and add, this is 1 medium onion diced. I'm gonna cook that down along with this bacon. Smells so good. I say this every time, but I'm like, I wish I were here in the kitchen and could smell this. All right, our onions are soft. So now we're just gonna take some of that flour that we used to dredge, about 2 tablespoons, and we're just gonna sprinkle it in. It's gonna add some seasoning in here as well as thicken our sauce that we're making. See it already starting to thicken everything up. All right, I'm gonna whisk this in. Let this cook just a minute or 2 just to cook out that raw flour taste. All right, now we're gonna pour in some chicken broth, as well as some heavy cream. I might do a little bit more heavy cream, we'll see. I'm gonna kind of stir this around really good. I think I'm gonna do a touch more heavy cream and maybe a little bit more chicken broth too. A little bit more broth and a little bit more cream because we have that extra pork chop in there. All right, now I'm just gonna place our chicken, not our chicken, pork chops.
What are we cooking?
Not the chicken. I'm gonna place our, pork chops back in our pan with the sauce. All right, I'm just gonna let this simmer until these pork chops reach about 145, 150. I like my pork chops just a little bit more done. but we don't want to overcook them. And that's going to be it, y'all. This looks so good. I'm so excited for this.
Will you be flipping these pork chops at all?
Nope. I'm going to put the lid on it, and they're just going to simmer away, and they'll be good.
They'll do their thing.
They will do their thing, honey. All right, our pork chops are at temperature. I'm going to go ahead and plate this up. This looks delicious, y'all. Pork chop. Get some of that sauce on top. Sauce on there. Y'all, that looks delicious. Yum, I cannot wait to try this. Just a little bit of green onion because y'all know I want to make it cute. All right, let's cut into this to see how it is. Looks delicious in there. I cannot wait to try it. Perfectly cooked. It is so tender. I'm telling you, if you need a good pork chop recipe, tired of dry, bland, gray pork chops, this is easy and this is delicious. That bacon in there gives it a smoky flavor. Look, I'm cutting it with, I'm not even using that knife. I just cut that piece just with my fork. That creaminess in there has a little bit of saltiness, of course, from the bacon and our seasonings. This is delicious, y'all. Y'all need to try this. All right, y'all, thank you for cooking along with us today. I hope that you liked this episode of Repeat Worthy Dinners. I remembered it that time. Seriously, y'all give either one of these recipes a try. They'll become your new favorites. I hope if you're new, you will hit that subscribe button. I have 2 more videos right here on the screen. If you like this one, I'll see you over there, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye, y'all. Hey, y'all, and welcome to the second episode of, what is this called? Hey y'all, welcome back to the kitchen and welcome to our second episode of, what is it called?
Repeat Worthy Dinners.
I never remember that.
Gosh.
Oh my God.
RTW.
Well, we had like so many different ideas.
It's RWD.
Welcome back to RWD, y'all.
Welcome back to RWD. We're going to cook some stuff up and tell you how good it is. And
Taters and cornbread. Bye, y'all.